The diplomatic quarters of the Terran embassy on Zephyr Station hummed with the quiet efficiency that had become humanity's trademark throughout the galaxy. Kareem adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform one last time, the midnight blue fabric, adorned with the silver insignia of Earth's Interstellar Relations Department. 3 years on this station, 3 years of careful negotiations, cultural exchanges, and the delicate dance of interspecies diplomacy, all coming to an end today. He had successfully brokered the mining rights agreement between the Zephyrian Commonwealth and the Terran Federation, a deal that would secure rare Earth elements for humanity's expanding fleet while providing the Zephyrians with the advanced, terraforming technology they desperately needed for their dying homeworld. It was the kind of win-win scenario that had made humans invaluable mediators in a galaxy where most species saw diplomacy as a zero-sum game. Kareem sealed the last of his personal belongings in a transport container, his movements methodical, despite the weight in his chest. The hardest part about leaving wasn't the end of his assignment. It was leaving her. Seelan had been his counterpart from the beginning, the Zephyrian cultural liaison assigned to work with the human delegation. Her people were tall and elegant, with crystalline features that seemed to shift color with their emotions, and an almost telepathic ability to read the intentions of others. Most species found the Zephyrians unsettling, their piercing silver eyes seeming to see too much, their whispered conversations carrying implications that others couldn't grasp. But humans were different. Where other species saw threat, humans saw beauty. Where others felt unease, humans felt curiosity. And in Kareem's case, somewhere between the late-night translation sessions and shared meals of both human and Zephyrian cuisine, he had felt something else entirely. The door chimed softly, and Kareem's enhanced reflexes, a standard augmentation for diplomatic personnel, told him who it was before he even turned around. The subtle shift in air pressure, the almost inaudible whisper of Zephyrian biosilk, robes, the faint scent of the crystalline gardens where she spent her mornings in meditation. The transport to the orbital dock leaves in 30 minutes, Seelan said, her voice carrying that musical quality that had captivated him from their first meeting. Her skin held a soft blue luminescence, an emotion he had learned meant melancholy. I know, Kareem replied, not trusting himself to say more. He had run countless diplomatic negotiations, faced down hostile alien councils, and once even talked a Kretak war party out of orbital bombardment using nothing but carefully chosen words. But this simple goodbye, felt impossible. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken words filling the space between them. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy for their emotional restraint, their ability to maintain perfect diplomatic composure even in the most challenging situations. It was what made them such effective negotiators and such mysterious allies. Humans, on the other hand, were notorious for wearing their hearts on their sleeves, a phrase that had become literal truth for many species after first contact with Earth's diplomatic corps. It was humanity's greatest weakness, and their greatest strength, this inability to completely hide what they felt. The Council has approved the final amendments to the Accord, Seelan said, her crystalline fingers tracing patterns in the air, a nervous habit he had noticed during their more difficult negotiations. Your successor will have little to do but oversee the implementation. Ambassador Chen is capable, Kareem agreed, though I suspect she'll find the cultural nuances more challenging than I did. Perhaps. But then humans have always been surprisingly adaptable to working with our kind. Most species find us difficult to read. Kareem almost smiled at that. If only she knew how easily he had learned to read the subtle color changes in her skin, the musical inflections in her voice that indicated everything from amusement to deep concern. If only she knew how many nights he had lain awake in his quarters, wondering what it would be like to... Kareem. Her voice was softer now, and when he looked up, her skin had shifted to a warm amber, an emotion he had never quite been able to identify in the Zephyrian emotional spectrum. May I ask you something before you leave? His heart stopped. Completely stopped, he was certain of it, despite the biomonitors that would have immediately alerted medical if there had been any actual cardiac distress. But in that moment, with her silver eyes holding his, with that particular tone in her voice that spoke of secrets and possibilities, he felt as though time itself had frozen. Of course, he managed, though his enhanced vocal cords felt strangely tight. Seelan stepped closer, close enough that he could see the intricate patterns of light that moved beneath her crystalline skin like living art. Close enough to catch that subtle scent that reminded him of ozone and starlight and something uniquely her. In human culture, she said slowly, carefully, when two individuals work closely together for an extended period, when they share meals and late conversations and develop what you call mutual respect and understanding, what exactly does that mean? Kareem's breath caught. The question seemed simple on the surface, the kind of cultural inquiry that had peppered their professional relationship for 3 years. But there was something in her tone, something in the way the amber glow of her skin had deepened to gold, that suggested this was not a professional inquiry at all. It means... He swallowed hard, his diplomatic training warring with something much more fundamental and human. It depends on the individuals involved. Sometimes it means friendship, sometimes partnership, sometimes... The word was barely a whisper. Sometimes it means much more than either person is brave enough to say out loud. The silence, stretched between them, filled with the soft hum of the station's life support systems and the distant sound of ships docking and departing. The endless cycle of arrivals and departures that defined life in the space between worlds. When Seelan spoke again, her voice carried a tremor he had never heard before, and her skin had shifted to a color he had no name for, something between sunrise and gold, and the warm light of a star seen from the surface of a world that might, someday, be called home. Then perhaps, she said, before you leave forever, you should know that some Zephyrians have been known to request extended cultural exchange assignments, particularly when they believe there is still much to learn about human customs. Kareem stared at her, his enhanced mind processing the implications while his very human heart hammered against his ribs. Extended assignments, he repeated. Earth assignments specifically. I believe your people call it cultural immersion. And suddenly, impossibly, Kareem was smiling. The kind of smile that had made humanity famous throughout the galaxy for their irrepressible optimism in the face of any challenge. I think, he said carefully, that could be arranged. After all, humanity has always believed that the best diplomatic relationships are built on long-term understanding. The transport to the orbital dock could wait. Some negotiations, it turned out, were too important to rush.